Well, hello everyone today. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I am so happy to be here. It's a good day to be alive. It's a good day to have some fun. We're going to have some good fun today because one of my most special kind of people is here. Someone who's not only a geeky kind of person like me, but also has some intuition, empathy kind of ways of doing work, which makes it even a broader kind of way of being in the world. So I'm happy to present today Ryan Goodman, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. I hope you won't get too embarrassed, but he has been called the subconscious pattern detective because he can get to the root of the problem really quickly without messing around with a whole bunch of other stuff. So he goes right to the core, figured out what's going on, and has the techniques to do it. And he has the techniques because he is the founder of the Clear Beliefs Institute. And he is a healer of the psyche and also a teacher. He teaches coaches, which I love that. You know, we need more education. He has a course about trauma, and it is nationally recognized by the ICF, International Coaching Foundation, as well as the Association of Coaching. He is author of 5 books, including Clear Your Clients' Limiting Beliefs, Creating on Purpose, which I love that title, and Transforming Trauma. He has taught all over the world. Over 700 coaches, therapist healers have taken his course and graduated from his training and are now using this very distinctive type of technology and techniques to help people be better and be their best selves. So welcome. So good to have you here.
It's great to be here with you.
Can you tell us just a little bit about, maybe use a story or just tell us a little bit about your work, because it's big.
Yes, it's quite wide because I've been a student of consciousness and the mind and the psyche and psychology and physiology and neuroanatomy for decades. And my goal in my life was to find out what is the nature of human nature? What is the nature of human beings? Why do we do what we do? How do we think? What constitutes thinking and feeling and touching? So I put together an understanding of our nature, the nature of the mind in particular. And what I discovered over decades was that beliefs, what we call beliefs, are actually the infrastructure of the mind, that they're the components we put together out of our experience and then relied upon to perceive other people, to get along with other people, to be in the world, and to function in the world. And those beliefs that got set up in our childhood often keep us stuck in adulthood. So I'll give you a story example from one of my clients. I had a client come to me who was a multimillionaire. And he was a multimillionaire because he made millions of dollars, then he lost millions of dollars. Then he made millions of dollars, then he lost millions of dollars. So and he heard that I was the pattern detective, the subconscious pattern detective. And so he said, all right, I've been to therapists, I've been to healers, nobody can figure this out. Show me what you got. So in a fairly short period of time, I took him back to a childhood experience, which he did not remember remembering. That's one of my expertises, being able to bring people back to memories that they've forgotten. He was about 3 years old. He was walking on the streets of New York with his mom, hand in hand, and he saw a shiny penny on the ground. And he reached down to pick it up, and his mother jerked him back and said, "Don't touch that, it's dirty."
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. I just knew you were.
And he realized that his whole life, he couldn't hold on to his money because it was dirty and he shouldn't touch it. And so he had to lose it. And then he was good at making the money, but then he was also good at losing it because of that early program. So that set him free. He didn't have to lose money anymore after that. So that's the kind of work I do, is find out, like, what's the thing that happened to you or didn't happen for you that caused you to believe that about yourself, or believe that about other people, or believe that about the world. And those are the things that keep us stuck. So I'm kind of an unstucker, unsticker.
I call them the scaffolding that we hang everything on.
Exactly.
And
Great word.
the scaffolding that worked when we were 6 doesn't work at 16 or 26 or 76. So we have to always be evolving and changing something about ourselves, our self identity, if we're going to like grow and develop as an organism, as a
Yes,
human.
exactly. Exactly. And I've been studying that scaffolding and trying to understand what are the components. When you look at scaffolding around a building, there's metal
Mhm.
bars, there's connectors and all that. So I'm looking at the component level. And the thing about scaffolding is that it's really useful when you're building the building, but then if you keep it up, it interferes with commerce, right? So you have to
Yes.
take it back down, and so that you can
Mhm.
actually live your life. Yeah. And so these component parts, the infrastructure of the mind, most people think of beliefs as words or verbal commands, memories of,
Mhm.
it's in the verbal mind, like I believe in Santa Claus, or I don't believe in Santa Claus, or I believe in less government or more government, mental constructs. What I've
Mhm.
discovered in my 45 years of research is that they're not mental constructs, they're multidimensional constructs. They have a mental component, they also have an emotional component, a memory component, a physical component, a sensory component, a spiritual component. So we are multidimensional beings. Our experience is multidimensional all the time. And so these constructs are made out of our experience. So they must also be multidimensional. That's my big breakthrough.
Yes, and I can almost see like the image of like the multi mind kind of overlapping over everything. That would be make a nice logo.
It would, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a good one. So the guy kind of threw the gauntlet at you. What was your well almost everyone who loses money, who makes money and loses it, has something that says that money's bad in some way, shape, or form. But what was the clue for you that got him back to age 3?
The process that I use starts with whatever the problem is, because we all have a problem we want to solve, or something we want that we don't have, or something we have that we don't want, right?
Mhm,
Or this is what the Buddha said was the core of
mhm,
suffering, is attachment to what we don't have or don't
mhm.
want to lose. And so I start there, and then I have the person say what the feeling is, or they make the statement, "I keep losing my money." And then I say, okay, now we're going to the embodied part. Now feel what it feels like to say that. I'm always losing money. How does it make you feel? Well, it makes me feel sad. Okay, but what's the body sensation? Because feelings, emotions, one thing, body sensations, another. What's the body sensations? Oh, I feel a tightness in my throat. Okay, well, what size is it? What color is it? I have them actually sense what the shape and size of the sensation is. And that is the key, because then you can say, what was an earlier time when you felt that sensation? Now we're going back in sense memory, not verbal thought memory. And now go to an earlier time, an earlier time, an earlier time, an earlier time. What's the earliest time you can remember feeling that sensation? Oh, it's when I was walking on the streets of New York with my mother. So suddenly we have the originating incident, because we've used the sense memory to go back to the originating incident, which set up the whole program, the whole belief system.
I might have been tempted to get a bunch of pennies after that and put them on the sidewalk and have him pick them up.
That's a good technique. There's hundreds of good techniques out there for especially psychotherapeutic techniques, cognitive
Mhm.
behavioral therapy, which does say it's all about beliefs. The problem with that is that they work with beliefs as mental constructs, and a lot of
Yes.
people do. And so they don't go to the experiential component. Then there's experiential therapies like coherence therapy and many others
Mhm.
that get to the experience, and that's good, but sometimes they don't include the mental component. Or there's emotional therapies, be it on a pillow and get your anger out. That's great, but it may not get to the
For the
mental.
moment.
Right, right. So that's why seeing it as a whole, it now makes sense how each of the other techniques work, because they're working on one component of that that whole experience. And that's good. You can say affirmations and change your mental program, but when you do that, when you say I have a lot of money, that's a great affirmation. But what it does, it stimulates your old beliefs to come up and reassert themselves. So they say, no, you don't. Look in your wallet, you idiot. Like, like there's something wrong with you. You think you got a lot of money, but you don't. So you create conflict in the mind rather than anything clean. So one of our other techniques, one of our main processes is called the belief closet process. And what we do is we first clear out the negative belief. It's like if you're going to build a garden, the first thing you do is you remove the rocks and weeds from the soil, right? Then you plant your seeds and they can grow and flourish. Well, most techniques are trying to lay something on top of the weeds and the rocks.
Of the junk, right. Yeah.
And so, but if you clear it out first, then you can plant a seed and it will naturally grow. You don't have to keep telling it to grow. You don't have to do it over and over again. So it's just a shift, a major shift in the memory system, in that scaffolding. But now you're living a different life. You're looking out of different eyes. You're seeing a different world.
I think that's it's so fascinating, particularly for people who've held a belief for a really long time. And you could see it like for 10, 15, 20 years. The guy could have been a billionaire by now if he had cleared out that penny memory when he was 15, right? So yes, and how it impacts us so much, and not only just how we feel about ourselves, but how we interact in the big world with other people. And that's what I see really so valuable about what you do, is that you not only change the framework of the person's belief and experience, you allow them to be more of who they really are to their partners, to their family, in work, in all different aspects of their life.
Absolutely. Our goal is to free the true self so that it can come out and flourish and share the gifts that we all have to give to the world. So that's our key. And one of the key elements is to actually clear the stuff out of the way first, and then the true self can shine, because it's not occluded. It's not buried underneath a whole bunch of beliefs and about the self or about other people or about the world. It's suddenly you're seeing clearly, you're acting more clearly. And that's what all my students and clients experience, is they say, wow, that thing is just gone. It's not in my way anymore. And it's subtle because when there's nothing instead of something, it's different than I had one something and now I have a different something. It's like there's openness, there's spaciousness.
Well, a week ago, I had my first cataract surgery on my left eye. Took about 10 minutes. The only reason I decided to do it was I hadn't been driving at night, and I took a trip at night, and I was amazed at how all the lights were coming at me, and I could hardly see what I was doing. And so I had an appointment anyway to see my optometrist. She says, it's about time. Let's go over there and get this done. Okay. And I had sort of like a little feeling in the back of my head. I didn't like somebody poking in my eye. And so I got there and they said, well, you can have anesthesia, or you can have something to calm you. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to breathe and sort of put myself in a very relaxed state and really experience what it is, because it's not going to hurt me physically. I just want to see what it is.
Yeah.
And they drape you all up, and then they put something it's like Vaseline. You can't hardly see anyway. And then you look at these brilliant lights that make all kind of funny noises. And it's like being on a ride at Disney. And the doc is there and he says, okay, I've got the old lens out. Here comes a new one. And then nothing, you don't feel anything. And he says, oh, we're done. Okay, fine. And then because your eyes are dilated, you're like looking a little cuckoo for a day or so. But what I noticed was that eye that I thought was not my good eye, everything was white and bright and beautiful. And now my right eye, I had a sheet that I thought was like sort of a beigey sheet. It's not, it's white. But I had occluded it with the lens. And so that's how people do with their belief systems. They're occluded And they have no idea until they pull it off.
And that's because beliefs are transparent to us. They are like the lens inside. We see through them, and we see the world. If you have the belief, strangers are dangerous, then when you look out at people, you see danger. You don't see people. You're seeing through it's filtered through that lens of people are dangerous. And you miss out on a lot of good opportunities. If you could clear that belief, then you see people who might become friends and they might become colleagues. As opportunities open. So the world changes when we change our innermost beliefs.
I like speaking to people who don't expect me to speak to them in different environments,
Yes.
right?
And what does that give you? How do you feel when you do that?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm fascinated. I'm so curious about people. I want to know, how they are and what their life is like and what they're doing. And it makes me feel closer to humankind, that we're all humankind. And when we denigrate a person or because of something that we believe in, we're actually denigrating ourselves, because we are all part of humankind. And the kinder I can be to somebody else, the kinder it comes back to me. So it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time you smile at someone, they have a smile inside of them, and they may smile at the next person, and it can ripple out in huge waves of smiles. Yeah, it's beautiful. And we are living in a time when politics has gotten more and more polarized, and we're making the others wrong, and making ourselves more right, and it's just splitting people and separating people. And this business of exclusion is historical. Like, we can go back thousands of years and see that the tribal people, even in monkeys, our tribe is our tribe, and we're good.
We were here first.
That other troop is dangerous, and they want our stuff, right? So the tribal sense that we are the good guys and they are the bad guys, that's really old and instinctual, and we have to clear out those instinctual old beliefs, the cultural beliefs, social beliefs, ancestral beliefs, religious beliefs. We have to clear those out too, because those are part of the system that we inherited. We didn't consciously decide to believe that, if you believe in Jesus, you're going to heaven, and you are going to hell if you don't. That was programmed into us. But then you start looking at people and seeing everybody going to hell. That's not helpful as an adult. So clearing out the ancient beliefs that we've grown up with, that's just as important as the beliefs we accumulated in our lifetime.
And also too, the tribal thing is like, oh, they're going to come steal our women. They're going to come steal our food. We will be starving because they're bigger than us, and we'll have to defend ourselves. And all these sort of real. I have a lot of animals where I live. I live out in the country. I have a lot of animals, and watching them interact and the way they navigate their relationships. I used to raise pygmy goats, and I had about 40 at one time. And more fun than a barrel of monkeys, watching them grow up and jump and do all their little things, but they're all different colors. Like a white mom might have twins, but one might be black and one might be a brown. And I would take pictures of them, and I would say, I always wanted to do a children's book, and said, let's just watch the animals and see how they react to each other.
Yeah, beautiful.
They don't care. They love each other.
Yeah. Speaking of right, wrong, I'm writing an article right now based on a client that I just had. And she had a problem speaking up when someone else was particularly powerful with their belief that, this is how it's supposed to be. And so she basically shrank down when this occurred. And she's now, a mature woman, but she's still doing the same behavior. So I took her back to her childhood, and both her parents were like, this is the right way to do things. This is what you must do. This is how life is, right? All those very strong admonitions. And I said, notice that they believe they are right. And they are partially right. But as a child, you didn't know about partially right. So you thought,
Right.
well, it must be right. You must be wrong because you have a different opinion. But what if you're partially right and they could learn something, and they're partially right and you could learn something? And suddenly her whole world opened up because she recognized that she was still stuck in the right wrong conflict instead of the more integrated, everything's got a bit of truth in it and that we can learn from it. And it was amazing that this happened in about 20 minutes. She didn't have much time, so she walked away going, "Oh my whole world is different."
Well, now I'm going to have to get in a debate team, and I'm going to have to really know how to present my arguments in a logical, rational way without getting all emotional. So women, in particular, Lion, as you know, get acculturated to being the caregiver, the always
Right.
giving person. And I always tell women, like, if this is you, what are you giving? And if you don't fill this cup up first, how are you going to keep giving to other people?
Right.
And that is a big one. They hear it, they think about it, and then I say, and the follow-up question might be, is like, okay, how did you fill your cup up this week? Tell me what you're doing. To give them just the idea that it's not only okay to do it, it's essential for your long-term vitality, good health, and to be around to help those other people as they grow older and you grow older also.
Can I take that even one more dimension?
Yes.
Okay. So if where does love come from? Does it come from you or does it come through you? So love is a universal energy. And if it comes through me, then there's no lack of love. If
True.
it comes from me, I've got a certain bucket. I've got a glass full of love. I give it all away, I'm empty.
Mm-hmm.
So all I need to do really is open myself up to the divine love that's always present, always everywhere. Now, if I'm an expression of that source, it never empties. It's
never
always
ends. It never ends. Yes, it's a total, complete abundance all time and always.
Yeah.
And getting someone from raising 4 boys, homeschooling, and running a business to, sometimes I just say, can you just breathe a little bit? Can you just let's just let something move here? That feels good. And sometimes even 5 minutes of breathing is like, whoa, I haven't done that all day. Just a reminder. Yeah, I love that, to talk about the abundance. And sometimes people find that whole concept as a little bit too woo-woo. And I have to navigate around that a little bit, like the neuroscience of quantum physics, how we really are in the world, and the world is like much bigger than we can ever imagine. And there's entities and frequencies and vibrations that we sense, but we don't actually maybe even acknowledge or sometimes even notice. And they're there, and you can always point out to it.
Yeah, that's the woo-woo part of science. So
yes.
It's okay if science is woo-woo, but we don't want to, we don't want woo-woo in our psychology. Yeah.
I had a woman yesterday I was talking to, she's 88, done tremendous things in her lifetime. And now is reaching sort of the frail part where she really needed assistance. And I came in, I have to do like a base assessment to make sure, first of all, where we're starting, making sure we're not going down instead of up, and all the meds are doing okay. She says, I don't really believe in psychology, so it's really useless for you even to be here. I said, that's perfectly fine. Sometimes I don't believe in it either. I said, but I'm here to do this little thing about 10 minutes, and you'll just breeze right through it. It'll be no biggie. And then I promise we won't have to ever do it again. And she says, well, okay. So we get started, and each thing brings up like another story. And then the story becomes another story. And pretty soon she's telling me her whole life story, which is so remarkable. Just incredible. She was like an assistant back in Houston when DeBakey first started heart transplants. Now that's a story, how all that happened and who he was, and lots of things that happened during that time period, and just what was going on also too in the political arena at the same time. She had all these stories underlying, and she remembered all of them. And now she was just thrilled.
Sorry to interrupt you. We all have these treasures inside of us.
Yes.
And sometimes it just takes a listening ear that we can share our treasures. But everyone has a treasure inside of them, in my view, in my experience. I've never met a person that doesn't have a treasure deep inside of them to give to the world, whether it's a story, an experience, a wisdom, a knowledge, information. And my desire is to free everyone to give their greatest gifts into the world.
Yes, and that's kind of how she felt. And she said, well, I haven't talked about this in a while. And I said, I have to go right now, but if I have your permission, is it okay if I come back to see you next week and you can tell me more about these stories? I'd love to hear them. She says, I bet you've got some stories too. I said, well, you're pretty right about that. So we'll get along quite fine.
That's our beautiful humanness, that we need each other. Nobody can do anything great alone. Even an athlete has a coach. They can't do it alone. We all learn from each other all the time if we're open to that, including people who have completely different opinions. I love talking to people who have the opposite political opinion that I do, because I learn something. And I go, oh, that's an interesting point of view, because for me, in fact, we talked about the guest you had who had aphantasia, and then you said you were a 6 on the 5 scale in terms of being able to remember and experience. And for me, I'm similar in the fact that I want to experience as much as I can, and I don't want things in the way that are preventing me from experiencing the whole world. It's a big, amazing world out there. So let's share it together. Let's explore it together and get the polarization out of the way. It's just so little importance.
And also too, for me, my recharge is nature. Being out with my animals, or even seeing, when I lived in Hawaii, as you know, for like 20 years before here, and we don't have snakes in Hawaii. But we do have centipedes, which can be quite vicious. But so when I moved here, people said, oh, you're going to have copperheads. You might have some rattlesnakes. You just have to be careful when you're out there walking around. And I've always been fascinated with snakes from a little girl. I used to try to catch the garter snakes. And when I moved here, I started seeing all kinds of snakes. Beautiful garters. Oh, they're gorgeous. And there's one called a whip that's got big yellow eyes that looks like a big cartoon snake. And sometimes I'll see them and I'll say, hey, what are you doing? And they'll go, sort of like that. I go, hey, it's okay. You can go catch some frogs if you want to. I'm not going to bother you. Hang out, go in the house, have fun, and they'll go, well, okay. The other night I got home from being out, getting some dinner, and there was a sort of a juvenile possum sitting up on my fence post as I go into my gate. And I opened the door, and he didn't budge. He just sat there, kind of looked around, like, what's she going to do? Because he knew he could outrun me, because he could jump off the fence post and go to the woods really quickly. Even the dogs weren't bothered by him. They were sitting at the gate waiting for me to open the gate. And I looked at him and I said, are you hungry? And he's kind of looked around, and I had some dog food in the car because I done a dog food run. I had a can of dog food. And so I had a little styro thing, and I put some food on a little bench I have out there. I said, okay, I'm going to leave now. You can come and eat if you want to. No big deal. And so I left, and he kept watching and looking. And I opened the gate, went in with the dogs. They didn't bother him at all. But he was like maybe that was the first human he'd ever seen or had come in contact with. Mm-hmm. Now, possums do a lot of really good in the world, and they don't have rabies. And they're good animals to have around. And they're not always the prettiest when they're older, because of their teeth and their little clawsies. But he was kind of cute. He was still in that juvenile thing. So we had a little moment, and I went back in. He may come back. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. There's a wonderful article it's quite old now, but it was one of the first inquiries about consciousness, and the title was "What's it like to be a bat?" And the thesis is that other creatures have their worldview, their way of being in the world. They have perceptions. Bats perceive completely differently than we do, and we can't understand what their world is like, because unless we can somehow transfer our consciousness into them. But every creature, every person has their own worldview. They're seeing a different world. And so what I love about you is that you're curious about other people's worlds, and whether it's a possum or a human being. And that's, for me too, it's like that's the most interesting thing there is. People are the most interesting animals there are. So it's joy. Life is joy when you see the world that way and you see people that way.
Yes, and I do dearly love bats. They used to get in our house when I was growing up, and Mom would take a broom and just kind of like open the door and kind of swat them back out. But they were fascinating. Their little fingers and their little teeth, and again, they do so much good in the world. There are a lot of people make bat houses so that they will live on your property to keep away all the other insects. Yes, pollinators.
Yeah.
And just having a sonar sense. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been to Austin?
I have.
Okay. There are plenty of bats in Austin. They have a bridge where all the bats live underneath. There are hundreds of them. And people go and visit the bridge, and just to make sure. Now, bats do carry rabies, so I would not pick up one that looked lame and was hopping around. But I might inform the local whatever wildlife thing that there was a bat that looked like it might need some help, or try to catch it without touching it. But bats are so wonderful, and people go, bats.
Well, let's complete. I know we need to complete soon, but I want to give our listeners an experience. Is that okay?
Yes, love it.
Great. So one of the theses that we work with is that our beliefs create our experiences. Now, our experiences also create beliefs, so it's kind of like a circle, right? We experience something, create a belief, and then the belief creates new experiences. So here's what I'd like you and the audience to do, is to close your eyes, take a breath, and then feel what it feels like to hold the belief, there's something wrong with me. It's like trying on clothes. You just try it on to see if it fits, how it feels. Ugh, I don't like that one, take it off. But just feel what it feels like to hold and believe there's something wrong with me. And Sally, where do you notice a sensation in your body?
Probably my lower belly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. And how would you describe that sensation?
Sort of like a little tension, a sort of a tense.
Yeah. And what's the size of the tension? Is it a marble, a baseball?
Oh, it's more grapefruity.
Grapefruit size. Okay, good. So just thank it for being there. Like, thanks, I see you. And then take off that belief and throw it away. You don't need it.
Do I take the belief? Do I take the grapefruit too?
Yeah, take the grapefruit and the belief. It's like if you tried on an outfit of clothing at the store and you didn't like how it made you feel, you just take it off and throw it on the floor or on a rack, right? Just take it off, toss it aside.
Okay.
Yeah. And now try on a different belief. So close your eyes again, take a breath, and feel what it feels like to hold the belief, I am a sacred and worthy being. Again, just try it on, see what feelings it produces in your body.
Well, I immediately get very light. I feel diffuse. I feel almost like something, a fabric that's very light and filmy that can almost float. It has no weight to it. It's permeable. I can actually go through it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, you can either take that off, or if you like it, you can keep it on, because you get to decide what to believe. So,
Yes, I like that one.
yeah. So hopefully the audience has recognized that beliefs create feelings or sensations, right? And it also works the other way. So if you're feeling a certain way, you can go the other direction and say, what belief is this? I'll give you a quick example. Walked into a party one time. I knew a lot of people were going to be there. I walked into this very big party, lots of folks, and I immediately felt weird. It's like I wanted to run out the door.
Your
And I had
antenna.
right, exactly. I had no clue what was going on. I just knew it was a weird feeling. So I sat down right near the entrance, and I felt the feeling. Because first you have to feel it fully, and then I asked, "What belief are you?" And immediately it came up as, "I don't belong here." Now that was a belief I had worked on for years in my earlier days, but something stimulated it. And so I did my process where I took off that belief, "I don't belong here." I put on the belief, "I belong here," opened my eyes, stood up. It only took 20 seconds or so. And it was a completely different party. There were lots of people going, "Hey, Lion, come on over." And
Here,
people were friendly and warm. So the belief change that I found from the feeling, by changing the belief, I was in a different party, a different world. So that's a technique that your listeners can use in their life.
Also, too, because you just acknowledged the fact that you could feel that feeling when you got in, practice feeling those feelings, and sometimes that antenna picks up something else in the room.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So that's what our intuition is based on. There are these subtle clues. In this case, I knew it was me. I knew that there was nothing wrong in the party, but it was something in me. So sometimes you'll go, "Okay, don't go over that direction. Go this direction." It's great to follow that, because it usually leads you in a good place.
Yes, yes. And tell me a little bit about how people can access some more of your techniques. Do you have a course? You have a program? How does that work?
First of all, my website is liongoodman.com, and it will lead you a couple of different directions. If you are a therapist or a healer or a coach, I have the Clear Beliefs Coach training in therapeutic coaching, and that will lead you to my free ebook called Clear Your Clients' Limiting Beliefs. If you want to clear your own beliefs, that will lead you to a free ebook called Clear Your Beliefs. So either one is good, and one directs you toward a self-healing program, one directs you toward my training for professionals. So, and there's also a long list of articles there that I've written on that website, and so people can explore away. Lots of things to explore.
Plus, you have your books too that we can take a look at.
Yes, the book that's published is called Creating on Purpose. My co-author was Anadea Judith, the expert in the chakras, and we were looking at the process of manifestation through the chakra system as a lens. So that's a great book. The rest of my books are available online.
Wonderful. Well, this has been delightful. And as I said before, we could just keep on talking and talking and talking. And I'm going to bet that people are going to have questions. So I encourage you, if you're listening or watching, put some comments in both the podcast or this will be also on YouTube, so you can see us and hear us. And just get the comments going, because it always, who knows, the question you ask might be the very question someone else wants to ask, and it may spark them to do something else too.
And I'll be happy to come in and answer those questions when they get written. So,
wonderful. Again, thank you so much, Lion. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, which I certainly have, make sure that you subscribe and you press notifications so you can find about future podcasts. And thank you so much for being with us. And I am going to sign off now. What do you have to say? Like one last little tiny bit for us.
Okay, if there's something in your life you don't like, find the beliefs that are causing that thing to happen and clear your beliefs. That will change your life.
Totally true. Totally true.
Thank you, Sally.